Hello, nice to see everybody in the virtual camera world. It's Friday. It's time for some large data banking. I have one announcement to make before we kick things off, which is that it's kind of a personal announcement. I have virtually moved time zones. So I haven't changed. You can see that my surroundings are basically the same old room, same old broadcast area, same slightly blurry camera. Let's fix that for a second. But I have to say that I've moved my spiritual grounding to Halifax. Halifax is a place in Canada. It's a little bit east of the East Coast, and so it's an hour later, right? So everybody has done this Eastern Standard Time zone adjustment thing. I've decided that I will not be doing the Eastern Standard Time adjustment thing, and I will be staying an hour east of everybody else. Just so, I don't know why, right? Just like kind of for fun. I want to see if I can feel like I can wake up a little bit early, feel like when it gets dark, it's 5:30 and not 4:30. And, just shake things up a little bit. Everyone's virtual anyway. So the question is, why not just do whatever you want, right? Why not just be a little bit less depressed? I think that everybody hates the daylight savings time stuff, right? Or like they hate the standard time stuff. So why not just opt out? Why not opt out? What's up, Hemonth? Null Bitmap Kina, how are you guys? What is Bucky? I have no idea what Bucky is, but it sounds, I hope it's not like Chucky. Yes, picking my own time zone, exactly. So it's, really the dream, So I guess the point is that for everybody else, there's pretty much no difference. I'm still going to be starting the stream, for example, at 3 p.m. EST. But for me, it's 4 p.m. So I'm starting a little later today than normal. Yeah, so that's kind of all I wanted to say on the intro. Bucky Roberts, the new Boston. The daylight savings moved one of your meetings from 10 to 11. Yeah, that's kind of a big rip. I think that's kind of happening for me, right? Like if people have end of day meetings, for me, it feels like it might be a 6:30 kind of thing, right? Instead of like a 5:30 kind of thing. Hey month, right. I think you told me this once and I promptly forgot. Sorry about that. But anyway, that's that, right? So what's up with you guys? How's everybody doing in your worlds? Have you gotten a lot done in the last week? Have you been anxious? Does anybody care about the American elections? I think I've been caring, trying to keep my expectations limited, trying to imagine that nothing's going to change for the next 4 years so that if anything good happens, I can be nicely surprised instead of badly surprised. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like the new Boston. I basically have no idea what you're talking about, unfortunately. All right, so I wanted to show off something cool, a little bit of a new thing. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop here. I should open up my stream labels too. But so check this out. You guys know CockroachDB, right? Well, check this out. We got a brand new website. It's looking pretty professional, I think. New colors. A little bit of a sheen to it, it's kind of like a fresh look, purple, It's got some animations, truly elastic architecture for effortless growth, that's pretty good. I kind of miss the green a little bit, but I think that this overall is like a better look for everybody, and I'm pretty pumped about it. I think it's pretty cool. It looks professional, I don't know, I'm excited about it. It's like, I think that design stuff, I mean, I don't know anything about design stuff, but I think that design stuff, it comes and goes in waves, right? And like, for a while when I was looking at this, I was like, man, it kind of looks like a little bit like Windows 7. But I think that the Windows 7, it like died, right? Windows 7, everybody got rid of that. Everything turned flat. And then maybe it's like shifted back. So like, we're back to like iridescent stuff. And honestly, it looks great. Like, it's looking really modern, really exciting. So I guess overall, I'm pretty pumped about it. But I can't pretend that I understand design, even in the slightest. Yo, 8-bits out. What's up? So that's that, you know, it's pretty cool. You should check it out. Check out that website. Look at that logo. It's just exciting. It's just exciting stuff. So one thing I was messing with today, not strictly CockroachDB related, but sort of related to making my life a little bit easier and better. There's this app called Triage Party. There's this app called Triage Party, and it's all about making it easy to look at your open issues in GitHub. I don't know if you've ever been to the CockroachDB GitHub page, but it's like overwhelming. We have so many open issues. It's kind of a disaster, right? So there's this thing called Triage Party that Google made to administer large projects like Kubernetes and whatnot. And so I set it up earlier today. I've been sort of working on that. And so I still haven't figured out how to like deploy it in a way
I have to narrow down the search.
that lets you see it from like a URL, which is something that I would like to do. So I'm still like working with that. I'm pretty much a Kubernetes noob myself, and this is all sort of Kubernetes, you know, stuff. It's like a service that you can deploy to Kubernetes. So I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I've been learning about it today, but check out what you can do here. It's actually super sick. Basically, the idea is that you can define these categories. Like, wait a minute, it's still kind of loading. Yeah, there we go. I think it's like this. We need to define the categories to be better, because I think these default categories are sort of like set up to be based on labels and other definitions that are useful for the Kubernetes project itself, because I think the Kubernetes project uses this. But exciting is US English attracted my attention vaguely in international English. Yeah, so anyway, you can define these categories, and then you can go to the categories and see quickly what the stuff is inside of them. And I think the purpose is that you can easily make queries to allow people to clear out things such as issues that haven't been responded to that were opened by people who don't work at the company, something like that, right? That's like a big problem for us. It's like really tough to keep track of what are the things that we haven't paid attention to. And this is like this program that people have written and maintained over the years that has a lot of this magic inside. So I'm pretty pumped to try to define some of these categories for us and like start to use this at the company. I think it could be really, really useful. So let me show you actually an example of this configuration language, since I haven't really played with it too much myself. Config map. So generally the way this works is that you can kind of, so here's a collection. I'm just learning this at the same time as you guys. So how did you make it so that other folk actually start using it in a team? What do you say to make it popular? That is a good question. I do think that the key is to make it useful and actionable. So check this out. Like if I go to Triage Party, they have some examples. Here's the one for Kubernetes. How to make pod restart when config map changes. Tapco Wild, that is a super good question that I was just struggling with myself. It kind of feels like when you change it, it doesn't auto restart the pods. So the question is like, do you have to run, like there's that new thing called like the deploy, or what is it called? I was just looking at this. You can like rolling restart. Yeah, the rollout command in Kubernetes. So you can like run rollout and give it some flags and stuff, and it'll like force a restart. But I don't know if that's like how you're supposed to do things. I'm a total Kubernetes noob, to be honest. But anyway, so here is an example of a real triage party. And I guess you can see how the categories here are customized to somebody's dreams, right? Like you have a category called unkinded issues, and they've got a resolution, right? So it's like these issues don't have any kinds associated with them. And so I guess it's very clear for somebody to go through these and say, well, I've just got to add a kind label. Uncommented older than 5 days, resolution add a comment. I'm not sure why you'd want that. Unprioritized issues older than 5 days. Pull request reviews ready for over a day. So these are like, this is like the dashboard of external pull requests that need to be reviewed, I guess. Have I tried Helm? No, I have not tried Helm. Wow, Iris. I like the keyboard. Recently updated issue has a question. Anyway, I think this is just so dope, and I'm really, really interested to try to see what we can do to make this useful for Cockroach. I do think that in general we have like a problem with responding to stuff like this in a timely fashion, just because there's so much traffic in the repo. So yeah, I can say Kubernetes isn't great till you Windows nodes. Is that what you're saying? Yo, Kajata, thanks for the follow, and Deepak Rajan, by the way, thank you for the follow as well. So let's like take a look at this. Daily triage, rules, issue needs comment. First of all, let's look, how is a rule defined here? An issue needs comment. Oh, I see. So you can give it a name, give it a resolution, and then you can make these, I guess this is kind of like a query. You can say it's an issue, tag not commented. I feel like these tags are kind of like all about, this is where you put that logic, right? Like, I'm not sure who defines these tags, but presumably this is by this app, right? Yeah, I don't know where those tags come from. That's kind of like the question, right? Is it explained in this README? I'm not gonna, yeah, by the way, like just for the record, I'd like to spend like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes on this, and then we can go do some CockroachDB programming. But I just want to see if we can make this useful, because I think we could. Okay, so let's see. Actually, why don't we read this on the web, because I feel like it'll be easier to read on the web. Config.yaml, where's the like configuration guide? List of repos to query, which GitHub roles to consider as project members. That's interesting. List of people to hard code as members. Each page within a triage party is represented by a collection. Each collection references a list of rules. Right, that's we sort of discovered that. For collections, there's some settings. Description showed for the collection. Whether to dedupe issues. Whether to show this page as Kanban. Yeah, right. So I saw that there's this thing. You can go to Kanban mode. Oh, wait. I turned off the port forward. Let me turn that back on. So I don't know, like, what in the world this might be about, because you can't drag stuff in this. This is like a read-only interface. But in any case, I guess, oh, I see. It's just maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the point of that Kanban thing is exactly, considering that you can't drag things around. Overflow flag issues if there are issues within a Kanban cell above or equal to this number. Ignore that. Rules. So this one's about a label. This is like sort of depending on somebody already having labeled stuff. So I don't think this is really too applicable for us unless we added some rules that auto label things, which we do have. Like we have this bot called Blathers that auto labels things. So maybe we sort of want to have some integration between that bot and this dashboard. The second rule is more fine-grained. It is only focused on issues that have seen more than 3 comments with an average of over 1 reaction per month, is not prioritized highly, and has not seen a response by the member of the project within 2 months. Oh my God, that's like so complicated. So I guess they have these priority labels. We don't really have such a concept. Maybe we should, I don't know. I feel like it might not be that appropriate for us. Filter language. So you can ask for a label, you can look at a title, you can look at tags. Milestones, created, update, responded, prioritized. Number of reactions, reactions per month, comments per month. It's like, I mean, there's a lot here. It almost feels like the configuration language is so big that it would be maybe difficult to figure out what the right rules are, which is, I guess it's good that they have some default rules in collections. But yeah, I think this is what I was looking for, right? It's an automatic tagging mechanism that adds annotations, which can be handy for filtering. So commented says a member of the project has recently commented or previously commented at all. Send is a member of a project added a comment after the author, and receive is that the original author has commented more recently than the member of the project. So that's kind of critical, right? It's like, it lets you say, give me all the PR. Maybe we can just check this, right? Like, can't we? The thing is that you can't seem to, from this interface, do arbitrary queries. You have to have set up these collections first. Signed, receive, unreviewed. So this is a PR that was marked as unreviewed because, how come, unreviewed. Unreviewed, PR has never been reviewed. I guess that's pretty simple. Okay, so CA Black says, Triage Party seems like a tool to help you read PRs and issues. So don't learn GitLab/GitHub, just build a wrapper to read it, then go back to the source.
The data bank's too
then go
big.
back, then actually do the work.
Down the search.
Well, I think that's a little bit simplistic there, CA Black. Like, I'm not sure if you've ever had to deal with a a repo that's so high throughput. I think the trouble is that GitHub it's really pretty, it's kind of a bad interface. It doesn't really let you query by anything sophisticated. So you really do end up with some severe lack of triageability, which is why this app exists. We actually have an internal version of this called Roachdash that we use, that's used to categorize stuff, but it also has its shortcomings. And I was just playing around with this today because, well, it's just this big project that somebody else maintains. And every time that you see one of those, it's pretty tempting to try to use it, right? Because it means you don't have to maintain it on your own. Hey, Brohanster, what is up? Yes, it's been a stressful week. Sure has. So let's why don't we make one of these collections just for fun, just to see what it's going to be like. So we have this complicated collection called host your own GitLab and fix those issues. That's going to be a no. That's going to be, you definitely don't want to waste a lot of time doing stuff like that, right? It's not such a good idea. Stay Mount says download the Bro app. I don't know what that is, but it sounds pretty sus. It sounds pretty sus there, Stay Mount. Why don't we start with a code review dashboard, just out of curiosity. So let's make something called ID code review, or like needs review maybe. Trouble is, this is just so complicated. It's like really hard to know. Hold on. You know what we need to do is make another window. Do our port forward. Wait. I'm gonna do our port forward. And then we should be able to edit this configuration and still have the app open at the same time. So the receive queue, right? This is kind of the dream right here. Questions awaiting follow-up. So I guess the idea is that these are, how does it identify a question? These don't seem like questions to me. I guess maybe it just, do you think it just looks for a question mark or something like that? Like, how does it know that this is a question and this one is a bug? You know what's also kind of weird is that like this is something that somebody opened from internal land, and I was really hoping that this receive queue would be about things that external people opened, right? That's kind of like what we want. For this to work properly, GitHub token must have read access to read organization members. That I don't think that we have. I think I would need to change the token that I made. I don't think it uses the tag, like it could. So if we go to issue has question, this is defined as reporter asked a question over a week ago, resolution add an answer. It's an issue, tag receive queue, tag it wasn't a member last and it wasn't a contributor last, right? So it's sort of like receive queue is defined in a way that we don't have a way to understand what receive queue is defined as, because it's one of these like sort of inbuilt things. Receive queue, it says somebody asked a question more recent. Wait. Updated by author with a question. I just don't think that it really is completely transparent what this means. We could probably read the source code to find out, but I bet there's just some heuristic similar to heuristics that, what is hacks? No, this is not relevant. Silicon Valley reference. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can search for receive queue and see what we have. Tag.go. Receive queue. Okay, so it's a comment-based tag. If we search for this receive queue, package hubbub. Last question after. Last question. How do we define last question? Aha! Yes, okay, so I was right. It says if strings.contains line, comma, question mark, then last question is equal to c.created. So this is in fact just a super simple heuristic that says whether somebody added a question mark or not to their issue comment. I nonetheless think that this is probably useful. Probably. So looking at the Kubernetes or the Minikube one, look at their categories. They've got daily triage, weekly triage, bi-monthly scrub, in milestone, broken tests, important, similar. Probably useful when 80% of issues are from externals. Yeah, you're probably right about that. It's got an average weight. I don't know. I mean, I think that this could be really cool. I think it could be probably useful. Because I think what it gives you is, compared to Roachdash, it has these saved queries, right? Which is something that we've struggled with and we just never got around to fixing. And with Roachdash, it's just sort of like, I know that we don't have time to pour into that thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there's something here, but maybe it's not clear how much effort you really want to spend on making these rules. It's like pretty complicated. So many rules. You really have to think about your process to make rules like this, because they really encode a process. If you don't have a process that you really can follow, then it's going to be hard for you to make a rule. So yeah. Okay. So let's maybe move on from this. What are we doing today, Chief? What is up, Wormhole? We were sort of looking at some random stuff, and I think that it's time to do something. You want a backpack? That's awesome. Congrats on your backpack. I was thinking, so there's like some bugs that I was maybe gonna fix. I think like I've sort of hit the end of the amount of work that I can do right now on the old create and refresh materialize view as of system time. I sort of need some reviews. People have been busy, so I'm sort of thinking that I should probably try something different today. So what I was maybe going to look at was fixing, where is it? User-defined schemas. There's something about user-defined schemas that we didn't quite finish up, which was what? Update data distribution page to work with user-defined schemas. This is what I wanted to mess with here.
How are you going to do that? By guessing.
Hey, Steamout, thanks for the follow. You hung out with Oliver and got ramen? I know he's going to Australia. That's a pretty big time shift. Nothing like the Halifax EST time shift. Pretty small one. Australia is quite far away. So I sort of want to fix this problem. Update data distribution page to work with user-defined schemas. It only shows tables that are in the public schema. The backend and frontend should change to allow all tables in all schemas to be inspected. I completely agree with that. So I don't really know what this is about, but we can probably fix it. I think the first step is to look for where we are using public like this, which is just not so cool. Looks like we do it for a couple of different things here. Grants. Okay, this one we are not going to touch for now. But this one we really should touch. So what is the data distribution page, first of all? That is a question. That is a question that we can answer, hopefully. Wait a minute. We have to turn off our port forward for triage party. And start this up again. Okay. So what is the data distribution page? That is a great question. Do I even know what the data distribution page is? I may not even know what that is, actually. It returns a count of replicas on each node for each table. But where do we exactly use that thing? I actually have no idea. I have no idea at all. Which font do I use for my terminal? It appears to be the Mac one, Menlo. I'm just a boring Mac user who uses a Mac font called Menlo. So presumably we're talking about this thing, right? Is it this? There are too many proto buffers. Do you use gRPC? Yes, we do use gRPC, in fact. So I think what's happening is that if we were looking at a table that was in a different user-defined schema, which I do have, I have a bunch of test stuff over here from last time. This is looking good though, right? Is this not the data distribution page? What the heck is the data distribution page? I truly have no idea. Let's maybe grep for it. Data distribution. Okay, so it's this, there's a page for it. Okay, so we can actually go and read what the TypeScript is doing. Data distribution. But where is this getting, where is this used from exactly? Where is this used from? Don't even know. Data distribution. Wait, what does this say? Well, this seems pretty basic. Okay, it actually says data distribution on it. So presumably I can like find that somehow, right? It feels a little bit sad that I can't quite figure out how to find where this page is like loaded at. Oh, is it over here? Ah, okay, so it's actually /data distribution. Interesting. I don't know how to like navigate to that. It's a little bit odd. How do I navigate to that? Data distribution? Is it one of these things that you can only get to from the debug page? Ah, this is so crazy. I've never been to this page. Look at this, you guys. This is so nifty. Wow. This is what the heck? Oh, is this thing where it's like you can get a big matrix, right? Okay, check this out actually. This is actually really cool. So if I go to cockroach demo, then I say nodes equals 3. This is gonna make a fake in-memory database with 3 nodes. And then if I go to the web console thing and log in, I need to fix this. This is annoying, having to copy and paste the password. I don't like that. But if I go to the data distribution page, what you get, and I think it's just so cool, is that you actually get a breakdown of how many replicas, I guess it's sort of how many ranges of each table are located on which node, basically. And it can get really nifty if you have like a big cluster with lots of availability zones and regions and databases. It's kind of like a matrix. Okay, so this is making sense. And I think what's going on here is if I say create schema, new schema. I don't know if you're familiar with schemas. The idea of schemas is that they are a further level of namespacing below the database. So you can have tables inside of a database, but actually what that's doing is it's tables inside of the public schema of a database, so a default schema. But I can make a new schema and put tables under that schema. And they won't appear in the main one. It's just sort of so you can organize your data a little bit better.
Database.
So I can say create table, new schema dot new table, a int, insert into. So if I were to say insert into new table values 1, this is going to say no such table. I can say insert into new schema dot new table though, and that's going to work okay. And furthermore, if you really want to get crazy, you can you should be able to set your search path, right? Show search path. So if I could say set search path is equal to new schema comma public, and then I run insert into new table, this is going to work fine because it's going to check essentially the search path. It's going to like search inside of new schema for new table first, then in public for new table second. But anyway, that's not important. The point is that I think that the bug is that if I go to this page, the new schema stuff is not going to show up at all, which is in fact true. There really should be something under here for that. Okay, so why don't we try to fix it then? I think this shouldn't be so complicated, one would hope. I think what we'll probably do, well, here's a question, right? Should we make it so that there's a little collapsible thing for each schema, or should we be super lazy and just prefix the tables with the schema, like public.promocodes, public.rides? I think that's kind of the ultimate question here. It's like, do we want to be lazy or not lazy? I think, well, I don't know. Why don't we take a look at how this thing is implemented first, and we can make a decision on just how lazy to go, depending on how complicated it is. So here's where we get this request. Data distribution returns a count of replicas on each node for each table. Notice that the request is empty, which kind of says to me that this is probably going to just pull the data for every table in the whole database, which is a little bit questionable potentially, but that's probably fine. In a real deploy, is that page public or authenticated? It's authenticated. Yeah, you have to log in as like the SQL user and password, just like you would to get a connection. Should the content then be limited by the auth session? So you're saying that it probably should. And I think that it does actually get limited by the auth session, CA Black, because it's kind of confusing, but the way it works is that we actually have the username that's passed in from the login session, and we use that username to do the query. And there's a bunch of stuff inside of the database that prevent you from seeing tables and databases that you don't have access for as a particular SQL user. So I think it sort of all works together and without us having to think about it too much. But that's a very good point. So just out of curiosity, what if we were to say select name, comma, schema name? And then I guess what we probably want to do is filter out internal schemas or something like that. Maybe we can just do that sort of in a hard-coded way for now. Or schema name not in. Might be why public is the only thing that's done right now. No, the reason for that is that we didn't support user-defined schemas until just this release. Well, but we do scope it, right? We are scoping all of these outputs by user because CRDB internal tables doesn't return you stuff that you can't see. So I think that this should probably be fine actually, but I don't know. We don't need to worry about that right now. The public thing is not about permissions. It's just about we didn't support the feature before this last release. So we can just filter out CRDB internal. PG catalog. Does this make sense? Right? I think it does, right? Show schemas. Okay, so there's kind of a bunch of them. It's not exactly, this is probably the wrong things to do. I mean, I wish that there was a way to say, I wish that CRDB internal tables privs on columns. We're not talking about privileges on columns. We're talking about privileges on rows. It's kind of would be nice if this had like an internal or external flag, you know? So it wasn't just being able to see looks like you can, we've got, why don't we just play around? We'll say select star from CRDB internal tables where database name not equal to system, first of all. So I think that already gets us some stuff. Is that enough? If you can't see a table yet learn it has a million rows, it might give people pause. Yeah, I think the point though is that we don't even expose tables that you can't see into some of these virtual tables at all. So you wouldn't learn such a thing. I agree that it would be a data leak. It's a little weird, but I think it's basically what we want. Okay, so we'll get our schema name and our name. And we've got to adjust these values here. This is pretty gross that we're just looking up these rows by index, but I guess it's probably fine. Looks like we used to select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 rows, and now we're selecting 5. Okay, so we just have to grab our schema name and then increment all of these things. Right? Okay, so we've got our schema name. I think for now, why don't we just make it so that we are just going to, we'll say table name, actually, fq table name is equal to format.sprintf. And do we need to have, I think normally we would have to make sure to like escape some of the quotes here, but I don't think we really care to do that since this is just for some admin debug page kind of thing. So we'll sort of sprintf them together. And I guess we need to dereference these things too, right? This has to be it's got to look more like this one since it's a string. Okay, so we've got our fully qualified table name. And then let's go looking for usages of table name to, wait, what is this? Oh, this is, it looks like this is where we kind of, oh yeah, this name string p business, right? I think we actually probably want to just reuse that method. So then we do get the escapes. I think I did this on another stream, now that I remember it. So fq table name is equal to, we could probably make a method for this actually, but maybe we can do that another time. Okay, so we've got our fully qualified table name. And then down here, when we actually return it, we're going to use the fully qualified table name instead of the ordinary table name. And then I think probably we're just gonna be good to go. So why don't we just recompile at this point and see what happens. Maybe there's some test update too, I'm not sure. It's flows. I don't know if I said thank you for the follow 10 minutes ago, but I appreciate the follow. So let's see, once we get that done, that might really be kind of a simple thing to fix, right? Like, is there anything to do afterwards? Maybe not. Wonder if there's some other outstanding issues with user-defined schemas that we could get rid of while we're at it. Looks like these are some duplicates. Here's something that Triage Party could help us with. I think it has some sort of simple duplicate detection. But it sort of seems like these two are the same, right? We could maybe look at this one. They seem to be a little bit different. So this first issue is saying that add user-defined schemas to SQLSmith so that it can find panics. For a Hanster, I have to say that this issue is not particularly well specified. I don't know what you meant. How many programming languages are there that you are comfortable with? Let's see. I guess I'm pretty fluent in Go and Python. At certain points in my life, I was a Clojure person, Java person, C person. I sort of dabble in TypeScript, but I'm not very comfortable in it. I think my top most comfortable programming languages are definitely Go and Python right now. Do I do Rust or Scala? No. I did some Scala at one point, but I don't remember how it works at all. And same with Rust. I think I would, yeah. I think I could probably still get by in Java. I just haven't written it in a super long time. I miss Clojure. I think Clojure is a super cool language. Factor is also a language that's pretty neat. I don't know if you guys have seen Factor. It's like a quote unquote stack-based concatenative language. It's a really pretty interesting thing to play with if you want to twist your brain a little bit. You learned Rust in 2 weeks, but you can't read the standard library implementation. That makes sense. I think like it's pretty typical that like the standard library of a language, it has a lot of advanced features inside of it because it's written by the people who are the most experts at the language, right? So that doesn't, oh yeah, I always forget to do this. So if you try to rebuild this thing while you have the like web UI live reloader thing enabled, it just won't work. So you have to kill that and try again. But you guys should definitely check out this language called Factor if you haven't. Have you seen this one before? Have you guys ever used a concatenative language? It's so crazy. It's really such a cool thing. Basically, the way it works is that everything's a stack. That's kind of the first thing. So when you are running functions and stuff, the way that you run the function is that you push the arguments onto the stack and then you push the function onto the stack, and then the function consumes the arguments. So functions, the signatures of functions are sort of defined in terms of their quote unquote stack effects, which means like what effect does it have on the stack? How many things does it consume and how many things does it put back onto the stack? Learn X and Y minutes, docs Factor. Thanks, Geek Pirate. So yeah, you see how this works? It's actually pretty neat. So you push, if you wanted to add 5 and 4 together, you push the numbers, and then you push the plus. And then it removes all 3 things on the stack and then replaces them with the number 9. And I guess you can use dot to print that thing. I wrote a Lisp implementation in Factor, which was pretty crazy. That was the only thing that I ever did in Factor. It was a pretty fun project, but I don't think that let me see if I can pull that up. Where would this live? It would be in Mal. So Mal is this really, really cool project that somebody made. This guy Kanaka, where they try to collect as many Lisp implementations into a big repo as they possibly can in every programming language. So I noticed that they didn't have one for Factor, and I contributed it. And so I guess the way it works is that you follow these steps, and you have different interpreters at different levels of difficulty. So towards the beginning, it's very simple, and then the further you get down, you've implemented more things of the language. And I guess the point is that it allows people to understand how you go ahead and build a Lisp interpreter from scratch. It's like a teaching thing. So I think like theoretically, I at one point understood how any of this stuff works. It's like pretty short, right? It's like only 100 lines of code. But yeah, now I have no idea what this stuff is. Like, check it. There's something called swap and unclip and dip. I think swap takes the top 2 things on the stack and swaps them. I have no idea what unclip is, though. unclip outputs a tail sequence and the first element of seek. The tail sequence consists of all elements of seek but the first. So I guess it just moves something to the front of a sequence or something. Nice docs. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I don't know why this is, I think I just recently moved branches. Something that I always forget to do before the stream is recompile so that I don't have to take forever compiling the first time. Yeah, I think the reason it doesn't have a domain name is that like, well, I don't know actually. This seems to be good, right? This is like their main thing. I think I probably went to some weird website. Inputs sequence, outputs rest and first. I just don't know why that's called unclip. It's kind of bizarre. Okay, so let us go ahead and test this thing that we were working on. How about? So if we go back here and refresh our data distribution page, what do we get to see? We get an internal error. Test more crap does not exist. Okay, so I think the problem is probably that. What? When we only changed one thing, which is that we listed all the files, or the tables rather. What we probably didn't do is change the code that actually fetches the replica information for each table. We probably need to do something there as well, right? So this error was what? Admin replica matrix relation does not exist. So 1829. Oh, I see. Show zone configuration for table. Okay, so look how it is nicely set up for us already. All we need to do is add another layer of this hierarchy, I think. And hopefully things will sort of work. Tree.name of schema name. Then again, well, we'll see what this does. Unclear if this will work or not. Show zone configuration for, because I'm not exactly sure what relation. What are the tables in this database? I put some like fairly sketchy things in there. Show databases. So at one point I was using this to stress the implementation of these user-defined schemas with all sorts of weird characters and whatnot. Oh yes, it's a database called test with a space in it. And the schema name is also evil. Okay, so this makes sense that this would have broken. I do think that the fix that I just applied will probably resolve this issue. But let's find out. This should be a lot faster to recompile this time. Still kind of slow. Still kind of slow. This is why I got to get a fancy, big, fat streaming PC with tons of CPU. That would truly be the dream. That would truly be the dream. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so we do have something a bit better, which is a big collapsible list with schemas inside. We did it, team. We did it. I think the obvious thing is that presumably like somebody would want this stuff to be collapsible by schema too. But do I really care to do that right now? I feel like I don't really care to do that right now. Like, out of curiosity, well, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Move the workload to a remote host. Yeah, I could do that. I've done that in the past on the stream, but it's just a bit annoying if you want to go to the website because you gotta have the port forwarding and stuff. That's a good point. And you've got to like, you know, sync the code with the remote host as well, which is a bit of a pain. That's a good point. Maybe I should spend time setting that up though. So let's like look at this page real quick. Like when we get the data back, what do we actually get, right? Presumably we get this response message thing, right? Zone configs. Run the editor on the remote host, but the thing is that I use an IDE, my friend. I use a big fat GUI thing, and I don't think that it would be that easy to set that up remotely. I mean, you can use like the X forwarding stuff, but like, look, I'm on a Mac, there's Linux, it's gonna be a big pain. Yo, Danny, how's it going? Danny. So here is my, I think here is my thing that I would theoretically change, right? It's a big map from, but Vim 5 weird. Kind of seems weird that you have a 5 weird, but a 4 head. Like you sort of need a 5 head. You kind of need a 5 head. SSH4, yeah, the thing is just that I don't think that that makes any sense. I don't think that makes any sense. Like you got, how do you get that GUI stuff set up? You know what I mean? iDatabase info has what? It's got a map of table info, right? So what I could do is I could extend this database info thing, which I guess lives in one of these protobufs, right? Where would that protobuf live? Data distribution. admin.proto. Like I could change this, and I could make it a map from string to, wait. Yeah, so right now it's a map from string to map from string to table info. I could change it to be, I could like add a, you know, message schema info if I wanted. And then have this be a map from, you know, by schema name from schema name to table info. And then from here, this would be schema info, and this would say from schema name. But is this really so important? Like, I just don't really think that it's that important, right? Portuguese captain, nice to see you. What's up? What do you think, guys? Should I do it? X forwarding through SSH is easier than triage party. I actually think that you might be wrong about that. I think that you might be wrong about that. Like the Kubernetes stuff, like it's hard if you're a noob at Kubernetes, but once you get Kubernetes understanding, man, you have so much power. It's like truly powerful. And I really wish that I understood Kubernetes better, because once you get going with that stuff, man, oh man, I think there's just no holding you back. Whereas the X forwarding stuff, it's like sort of a one-trick pony. You know?
The data bank's too big.
It's gonna kind of work, but also kind of be bad.
I have to narrow down the search.
There's not too much that you can do to fix it
by
if it
guessing.
doesn't kind of work the first time. Yo, Little Lee DK, thanks for that follow. What do you guys think? Should there be a schema dropdown under these databases, or should there just be a single dropdown? I feel like for this particular page, it's really no advantage having an extra schema dropdown, and that keeping these prefixes is actually going to be fine, right? It's just gonna make it more noisy to have an extra dropdown in there. I think for now, I will make a commit with just the changes that I am sure about. And we can always go back and add the schema dropdown another time. So we'll add user defined schema data dist. Okay, so let's add our changes. Should we clean that up a little bit? Let's clean that up a little bit. Maybe we actually do want system tables in here. I think we actually do want system tables in here. We just don't want the sort of virtual schemas, and we still haven't quite figured out how to do that, right? So how do we do that? This gives us all of these virtual tables. Oh, you know what? Where database name is not null. What does that give us? That gives us system tables. I feel like that's what we want, because I think if you do it this way, then the virtual schemas and stuff show up nowhere. Oh, they show up under a null database. So let's do that. So our database name is not null. Don't include tables with a null database name, which in this case means excluding tables, or excluding virtual tables. This chat gives me more chances to chat with normal people than my entire vacation week at home. How do you define normal people exactly, Kina42? I'm not exactly sure if this chat is full of normals. What do you guys think? Do you guys consider yourselves normals in the chat there? I don't think I would consider myself a normal. Okay, so let's try this again. We'll add this one. Normal means folk who enjoy watching code in a terminal. Okay, if that's your definition, then I think you're probably right. So we're not going to include these changes to the protobuf. So it's really just quite a simple thing. So we'll say server UI show tables in user-defined schemas in data dist page. Previously, the data distribution page in the admin UI didn't contain any tables from user-defined schemas due to an oversight. This commit resolves the issue. Release note. Admin UI change. Normal means people who don't do programming on weekends. It sounds like you guys have a difference in opinion there. Release note, admin UI change, include tables from user-defined schemas. I guess from is from within. Include tables within user-defined schemas in the data distribution page of the admin UI. I think that large data bank is a totally normal name there. So yeah, there should just be 1 hour where all national television becomes a programmer using their IDE. That's a pretty funny idea. So let's see. I think this is going to be fixing this thing, right? So 54,957. Time for bed TV instead of border force abroad. Okay, so let's go ahead and add someone here. We good? We good on this one? I think we're good on this one. Okay, so for here, SQLSmith, we could maybe look at SQLSmith. That could be pretty fun. I've never done SQLSmith stuff on stream before. So SQLSmith, really cool piece of technology that is basically about creating random, valid, and interesting SQL statements. It's kind of like a fuzzer, but instead of having the fuzzer operate on random strings that are totally unconstrained by reality, I guess you could say, it does a couple of things. It first of all traverses like the real SQL grammar. That's like the first important thing, so that instead of making strings that make no sense, it's actually making SQL queries that have SQL words in them and stuff like that. Then the second and much more powerful part of it is that it actually has a conception of the available tables inside of a database and the types of the tables and the columns and stuff like that. So it can make not just grammatically valid statements, but semantically valid statements. So it's a very powerful randomized testing tool. Isn't really about SQL injection, just about those kind of like random query generation. So I think that this issue is really about Chaos Monkey for SQL. It's kind of like that. Yeah, you could think of it that way. One of many chaos tools. I think we also do some amount of chaos testing. Somebody was actually asking me about this in the Gophers Slack, which if you're not in it, you should totally join. It's this open Slack group for Go language enthusiasts. But somebody was asking about how we do file system crash testing. And I pointed them at this tool called Charybdefs. Have you guys seen this? It's pretty neat. I think we've done some testing with Charybdefs. And the idea is that it's a file system that you can use to inject faults so that you can sort of simulate what would happen if your file system encountered a serious issue, your disk crashed, maybe the file system said it accepted a write, but it didn't in fact accept a write, or kind of stuff like that. So I think this is more close to like what you would think of as like a Chaos Monkey kind of thing. SQLSmith, one of the features being not SQL, the opposite of usually structured queries. Yeah, I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, it sort of helps you generate queries that people wouldn't make. But I think also part of the power of SQLSmith is really that it creates queries that people would make, but in a more randomized fashion than you're expecting. So it's going to attempt to find things that are realistic but problematic. But I guess the idea with this one is that we didn't ever add user-defined schemas to SQLSmith at all. We have these two duplicates, right? So I think I'll just close this one. I'll close the older one in favor of the newer one. How about? The newer one's a little bit more expressive. This is a duplicate of this guy. Okay, so why don't we try to take a look? It'll be sort of an adventure, I think, because I haven't really programmed too much SQLSmith stuff myself. So we'll be learning together. So it looks like we start in a file called schema.go. I guess this file get rand table gives me a random table. Get rand table index, get rand index. So presumably somewhere, right, so I think this is the issue. Extract tables only looks for tables whose schema is public, which is super wrong. So I guess, but what's interesting is it does actually extract the schema. It doesn't use it? What's the deal with this? Class schema is not equal to public, leave. Table ref, new table name, last catalog. Okay, so I guess like this new table name thing kind of needs to have, yeah, we sort of hard code public everywhere. I think that basically what we need to do is change this new to, or instead of using new table name, we can use make table name with schema, which seems to include an explicit schema instead of using public by default. So we can start with that. So let's say Instead of saying new table name, let's use make. I don't know why one's new and one's make. It's a little awkward. Make table name with schema, last catalog. Then this presumably is like, I don't know why they're called last. Last catalog and last name. Well, we'll follow the pattern for now. It looks like we already said it, in fact. I guess it's sort of like the last thing that we've seen or something like that. Oh, so this make it, I guess it's, the trouble is that it's gonna return an object and not a pointer. But we can just get around that by doing it on a separate line and taking the address. You know what we should probably do before we get too far into this? I would like to figure out or recall how to actually run this thing, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be cool to figure out a way to actually run SQLSmith ourselves, right? How do we do that? Is there a main in here? How do we run this guy? Is there a, oops. Just don't remember how this stuff works. SQLSmith. There's got to be like a top level endpoint that somebody uses to run this stuff, right? But where does that all get instantiated? There's some modes. This is looking like top level options. Setup.go. Main.go. Package command Smith test, it's called. Okay, interesting. So I think what we can do is say make bin Smith test. No. How do we what if we just go inside of here, Smith test, and run go build? Something's happening. So we can run Smith test. What does it do? It looks like Smith test needs to have a binary with cockroach in it or something. Wait a minute. I don't quite get this. Don't quite get it. So if I say package command Smith test down here where I have a cockroach binary, does that do anything? Seems like it does. I don't know what it's doing though. Is there like a verbose? Kind of wish it was gonna run, like, you know, spit out the queries that it's making or something like that. Is there like another way to run this that I'm still missing? Doesn't seem like it. Unless hold on, wait, what if we can say make test package equals package SQL package internal SQLSmith. What does this do? Does this actually run SQLSmith or does it run tests against SQLSmith? Also, wait a minute, did I? Has to redo the protobufs, that's kind of annoying. That happens. This is why we never try to touch our protobufs, because it causes a big bunch of extra work to do next time we run tests or recompile. Let's see. So while that's going, notice somebody gave me a comment on the PR that we did earlier. Wasn't sure if there was a different way the front end is supposed to hierarchically show schema names. Glad this fix was simpler. Are there tests? These are good questions. Good questions. We could have added hierarchy to the view, but I think that it's probably overkill for now. It's not totally clear that it's important. Yeah, probably overkill for now. Seems more than likely that people will not need to filter their view on particular schemas here, to me. Tests. Now that is a good question. Data distribution. Do we have any tests for this? I guess that we probably don't. I feel like these API endpoints that are used for debugging pages tend to not really get tested too much. I guess there is this. There's a benchmark one. Skipped with a to-do. Okay, that's not so promising. But there is a test. There is a test. Okay, we should fix that test. So we'll go back to that for a quick second. Probably this will now fail, right? So we'll say make test package equals package server tests equals test admin API data dist. See what happens with this. I committed without running the test. I sure did. CA Black, that's part of the dream of doing stuff on, well, there's two components that allow you to do this. One is that there's CI, so you can't merge stuff with that unless it passes all the tests, right? And then the other part that allows me to do this is that well, we're streaming, so we don't want to we just want to keep moving, have fun, and CI will always catch us. If you don't have CI in your project, that's kind of going to be a bigger problem. All right, so let's take a look. What is going on here? Expected map, Roach blog. Okay, so presumably we just need to edit this expected map.
Into over 1,000 data banks throughout the world.
Yo, Sten for egg, thank you for that follow. So I think that these are just going to get these public dots, right? And presumably we'll want to make one with a non-public. So we're gonna SQL db.exec t create schema roach blog dot My schema? Who's got a good schema name? We'll call it foo. How about that? So then we're gonna say create table roachblog.foo.other stuff ID and primary key. Okay, so then we will add a new entry here to say, you know, we should probably make one with a space in it too, right? Just for fun. roachblog.foobar. Seems important. Foo. I think it's gonna have to look like this, right? Foobar.comments. And the replica count, I don't really know. Maybe it'll look like this. Let's try that out. See what happens. I think that this testing succeeds soon thing is sort of annoying because it makes it so that the test takes 45 seconds to fail if it's going to fail. Is there a way to customize that? It doesn't look like there is. What's up, Faust? Project's out of date. That project is out of date. Commands edit. Project. Doing some miscellaneous bug fixing. How's that? Okay, so what did we get? We got expected foobar.comments, public.comments, public.post. Oh, you know what we did? We just forgot to rename it from comments to other stuff because that was the name of our table, right? Other problems that we have here. Foobar, other stuff, public.comments, public.posts, spec chars. Okay, I think this is gonna probably work now. We'll see. So while that's going, I guess we still need to kind of figure out how to run this SQLSmith stuff in sort of a sane way, right? Bug bash stream very epic, extremely epic. This is yes, an epic stream. Yeah, I just need some sort of like hammer of bashing to really hammer home, so to speak, the point of the stream, right? Need to invest in a hammer. I have a screwdriver here. How about this? Bug fixing stream of epicness. Not so good. Not really so good. So I feel like since this is taking forever, it still has a small difference in it, doesn't it? So what is the deal? Man, I have to say that this expected actual stuff is annoying because you can't really diff it. I guess why don't we open it up in an editor? So here's our expected, and our got is down here. Okay. So who can spot the difference? Oh, I think the issue seems to be that we're not quoting this stuff with these special characters, right? We're not expecting those things to be quoted. feel like this really doesn't matter all that much because this isn't going to get it programmatically messed with too much, but like we might as well just fix it because I think it's sort of more correct in the end to have this stuff get surrounded by quotes, because if you wanted to use this in the console, you would have to surround it by quotes. So I think it's good to ensure that people actually do that, right? Try it again. Try it again. Okay, so this is something new. Expected Roach blog comments have dropped at set, but it's nil. What is that about exactly? Dropped at. So I wonder if this is because when we changed the...
Everybody knows that relational
Hey,
databases
Faust,
don't
thank you so much for the Prime
because they use
subscription.
joins,
I really
join
appreciate
joins
that. It's nice to see you.
and write
Hope you're
to
having an
disk.
excellent week, as much as you could, given things. But I really appreciate the subscription. One day I'll figure out how to make that sound play without stuttering if I'm moving my mouse. I've noticed that if I'm typing or moving my mouse while one of those things plays, it gets like super screwed up. Kind of messed up. So where do we set this dropped at business? Data distribution response table info. But where do we get this thing from? Dropped at datum.time. One, two, three, four, five. That's a little bit suspicious. I wonder if we got something a little bit wrong based on the way that this query is working. So let's try it out. So we're gonna say create table A int. We'll say select star from CRDB internal.tables where table name is equal to A. Whoops. So just name. Okay, so you can see that the drop time is null. And then I guess if I were to drop table A, then I think the idea is that it's still supposed to show up in this list, and it does, and the drop time is not in fact null. So I actually am not quite sure what the issue is here. The main thing that we did is we filtered out tables where the database name is. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's just that we have to go like this. That's actually what the query does. Is it does this weird thing where it prefixes the whole
The
schema here
database
by
too big.
empty string.
I have to narrow
That's
down the
supposed to
search. How are you going to do
give
that?
me the virtual
By
table
guessing.
that applies to all databases or something like that. It's a little weird. Yo, index RS, thanks for the follow. I've got this iris thing for the keyboard, but I don't quite see why this is problematic. Don't quite see it. Delete results for system database. Right, so we made sure that we were returning results for system database.
Computers hooked into over 1,000 data banks
So
throughout
that
the world.
can't be the issue. Hey, Mr. Casa, thanks for the follow. Ignored zone configs. Verify the request still works after a table is dropped. Expected roachblock comments to have dropped at set, but it's nil. Oh, you know what the issue is? It's very obvious. It's just that I needed to add public again to these things. So yeah. Since we changed the key, we also have to change how we look up this map. Okay, I think this should probably work now. I'm hoping. Okay, very cool. All right, so we got the test working. So let's go ahead and amend our commit. And push back up. Good point about the tests. Needed to update one anyway. I added some test cases for user-defined schemas. Okay, so back to SQLSmith land then. We really just want to be able to run one of these things. Should be pretty simple. Looks like these tests actually allow you to set some settings, right? I don't think this is right. I mean, oh, is it somehow like embedded into this workload binary? Is that how this works? Wait. Make bin workload. So we have this big binary that we use to test a lot of different kinds of workloads, such as TPCC, KV workloads, random other testing workloads. And I'm wondering, I kind of have an inkling that we did add this stuff. Yeah, you see package workload SQLSmith. Okay, so that's what I was missing. It's a workload. I don't know why I didn't remember that. And in fact, it appears right here. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, so we're gonna run. That we just forgot a little bit things, but we can get back to business here, I think, in a second. So we're gonna start up a CockroachDB instance, and we're gonna be able to run this workload against that instance, and then we can use the normal logging and whatnot to see the statements that it's generating. So that'll be sort of fun. We can see how it works, and then begin to understand what is missing for the perspective of user-defined schemas. Okay, so we're gonna start here. We're gonna open up another window. We're gonna say bin workload. Hold on, we have some bunch of random verbose logging here, so we're gonna turn that off. We'll use exec log equals 2. So this is gonna print out all of the queries that are run against the database, which is pretty fun to see, especially for something like this. So let's figure out how to run our, run our SQLSmith workload. Does this work? Okay, so first we have to init it. So we run workload init SQLSmith. Then we get to run SQLSmith. And so this is gonna start hopefully running random queries against the database. Is it doing that? Currently it seems to be running a bunch of introspection queries. It's saying select is inverted from indexes where, and then it runs this against all the different indexes in the database. Is that what it's doing? I guess okay, so it seems to be doing stuff now. Maybe. I am confused. I think it did actually run some queries, but it maybe use SQLSmith. Show tables. So it made a couple of tables, but none of them have any rows. Is this normal? Is this normal? No, they have some rows. They have some rows, but not very many. So I want to run this again. I'm very confused about this initial step here, where it's checking all of these indexes that it just created for whether they're inverted or not. That's like, I really don't get what's happening there, actually. But I think it's good. You got to learn about this stuff before you can use it, right? Oh, you know what I bet the problem is? I bet the issue is just that this database, let me actually just move aside the data directory that I've already got. This is always how I end up with a ton of random data directories, but whatever. So make a fresh one. Let's actually just start again from a fresh database, because I did have a lot of data there. And I think that was probably slowing down some of the introspection queries. Okay, so that's a lot faster. I still don't, oh wow. Okay, so things are happening. Things are definitely happening. It's interesting that things sort of get hung up though at a certain point. Out of curiosity, we could probably go into another terminal and run show queries, right? And then that should show what's going on. It looks like it's doing all sorts of stuff concurrently, deletes, updates. I wonder if the transactions are sort of contending with each other. Truly fascinating. I would like to change this to run in a single threaded mode just to make things a little bit simpler, which I think you can do with concurrency flag, right? Concurrency equals 1. Okay. So now it's going to be running just one query at a time. And we still are getting random. Oh, I guess it started to use some of this new stuff from the geospatial. So we added this new set of functionality called geospatial. And it seems to be running a bunch of these geospatial functions, which I wonder if some of them are super slow or something like that. Pretty interesting. One other question that I have is like when I run this workload, does it set up a statement timeout? I think it should, right? I would like it to have a statement timeout. I feel like that would be good, right? It sort of seems like something that we would want all the workloads to have, is an ability to set the statement timeout sort of from a high level perspective, right? But anyway, I think we could just do it. Why don't we just statement timeout. I'm surprised that we don't have such a thing, actually. A little bit surprised we don't have such a thing. Kind of feels like we should make something at the top level, right? How do we get this database? Go SQL.open. Oh, I see. Each database, each workload seems to manage its own database, which is a little bit funky because it doesn't really let you do any setup at the top level on your own, you know, like if I wanted to say, I think that there's a way to like, this thing doesn't have a timeout, does it? I guess the point is that like I could theoretically just say like, you know, db.exec set statement timeout is equal to 5 seconds or something like that. And this would make it so that all subsequent queries run on this database would stop after 5 seconds. But my problem is just that there's not like a global way to get all of the workloads to do this based on a flag. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just a little bit sad. Let's just, we'll go like this. We'll set this default thing to 10. Yo, A Woods, what is up? Yes, the channel has gotten hella advanced since the last time that you tuned in. It's got all sorts of things. We can BRB. You can go into talk directly to the camera mode. There's a lot of advanced technology here on the large data bank channel. So we're gonna set our statement timeout to to 10 seconds. If you subscribe with Amazon Prime, Andy Woods, if you have Amazon Prime, it comes with one free Twitch subscription called Twitch Prime, and then you can get a pretty cool alert if you do that. Okay, so set statements will time out after this number of seconds. Okay, so if I do this, then down here when I open my database, I can say db.exec context, pass in my context, say set statement timeout is equal to ds like this, and then can pass in my g.flags.statement timeout. Wait, where did I set that thing to? Can I flip the keyboard cam so it'll look like I have T-Rex arms? What do you mean by flip? Like, so it's towards me? Wait, what? Oh, you mean like, no. Wait. I feel like this isn't quite right either. I should be facing the code, but then I'm going to be backwards. I don't think anybody wants that. Okay. Let's fix this. Wait. Oh no, this is so confusing. I can't figure it out. It's like way too complicated. But if you rotate things 90 degrees, it's gonna look really messed up. I think what David's saying is flip it over the vertical axis. So you want it to be like this. But this is really stupid looking. You're gonna have to draw me a schematic. It's like way too complicated for me to understand. Okay, great. CA Black is so specific. CA Black is like, you should definitely put your IDE on a remote machine and also flip all of your cameras so they're facing the code. And otherwise I won't watch. Right, CA Black? Very specific about what you need from this stream. Okay, so we're gonna set this to our, wait a minute. We don't want to set it into this flag. We need sort of a new area to store this statement timeout thing. Yeah, I guess we could put it. I guess we put it in this SQLSmith kind of thing. I don't know. So we'll say timeout setting seconds. If you don't express yourself, you'll never get what you want. I completely agree with you, and only the most respect to your way of expressing yourself. I think it's great. I feel what. I still think that there's something better you could do here. I mean, the real thing is that you really want a camera so that it's like, you really want the camera to be like this, you know, or like flipped or something like that. Because then it's sort of more like your perspective that I think would be correct. That's what other people do, top-down view of the keyboard, but I don't know how to mount it. It's like it's pretty hard to mount such a thing so that the camera like isn't in your way. You sort of want to drop something down from the ceiling or like have something that comes over the monitor, and I just don't like have the skills to set something like that up. If there was like a pre-made component that does it, I would just buy it, but I couldn't find anything. Okay, so anyway, my weekend is not gonna look like that. Don't you worry. So we're gonna set our timeout. What's wrong with this exactly? Okay, so that's fine. One cam, pull back and show you in your hands in one frame. That's not gonna happen because my camera is too, the frame is too close. I don't have like a zoomy thing. Okay, so I'm setting my statement timeout. Let's remake our workload here. Concierge product, pay somebody to hold it for you. Yeah, I could just like hire somebody to stand extremely still for the entire stream pointing a camera down. That seems legit. Seems legit. You also need somebody to hold the boom mic arm. Well, this thing is already held up properly. This thing is pretty good. Like, yeah, I don't need to mess with this too much. If I had something like this that was sort of for the camera that didn't get in my way, it would work pretty well. But I have no such thing. Because you don't want it to be here, right? It's like, if you imagine where my face is relative to my computer screen, you don't really want to have something in between there because I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So it's got to come from above. Okay, so we're gonna run this now. And I think it should hopefully set my statement timeout, right? Oh my God, what did I do? I guess this needs to have either a $1. Not like even really paying attention. I'm like chatting with you guys too much about like random crap. So if I do set statement timeout is equal to 5, does that work? 5 seconds. I think what I'm probably gonna do is just do it like this and use format.sprintf rather than try to make it work with placeholders because I just like don't really feel like doing that right now. How about that? How about that? Full TV crew and catering? Yeah, I don't know about that. If I had that, then I think my life in general would be a little bit better. But anyway, yeah, like the reason that we're doing any of this, by the way, just to remind us, keep us grounded here, is that we're trying to add user-defined schema support to SQLSmith, which is our randomized testing framework. Streaming camera glasses? That seems pretty suspicious. What commands do you use to change terminal windows? I'm just a totally plebe level like command tilde user. So I'm just like hitting command tab and command tilde, go back and forth like a Mac user. You know, I don't have anything fancy. I wish I had something fancy, but I really don't. What the heck? What am I doing wrong? This needs to be in quotes, obviously. Needs to be in quotes. All right, looks like we got an approval from our reviewer on the last change that we made. So thanks to Ruffy SS for the approval. Pretty exciting stuff. I was gonna go to this website. Live streaming camera glasses. Okay, so this is the thing where you like put this on your face and you hook it up to your computer so that people can see your first person view. I think that I'm gonna go ahead and say that that would be terrible because it would be so shaky. You guys would all throw up within like 5 seconds of joining the stream. Okay, so this seems to be working a little bit better. It's C Films. C Films loves to come in and say, I am doing great, how are you doing? And I love to respond that I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. So what are we getting here? Restore table SQLSmith cannot use restore inside of a transaction without detach option. Seems fine. Question is, why isn't the statement timeout working, right? So if I do show queries, oh, so we're running a delete. And the delete, does delete not respect statement timeout? That could be pretty interesting. What do I think and know about prepared statements? I think that prepared statements are a good way to like improve the performance of your database in certain circumstances. The purpose of prepared statements is to avoid reparsing and replanning frequently executed queries. If you're only changing part of the query, you can make a prepared statement and keep re-executing the prepared statement with different parameters, and it sometimes makes the database a little bit faster. It doesn't have to redo a bunch of parsing and planning work. It's kind of interesting, this delete thing. I almost feel like we might have an interesting bug to look at, right? So let's see. If we say select count star from this thing. Wait a minute. It has one row in it? This is seeming extremely suspicious. You're saying that if I were to run this, it's going to hang forever? That seems really unlikely, right? Set SQL safe updates equals false. So that seemed to work fine. I don't really get that. I updated my queries on my website to prepared statements. That's cool. Have I heard of anything of the NSA backdooring databases? I haven't heard anything explicitly about that, but I'm sure they do it all the time. Have you seen any of those crazy things that they did to do like the various like surveillance programs? What is it called? I can't remember what it's called. It's got this like really like infosec kind of name, like Epic Dragnet or something. Yeah, there's Prism, and then there's this other one. It's like Dragnet or something like that. I can't remember. I was reading about that the other day. It seems pretty insane, the amount of data that they collect on everybody. Darker net, the extremely dark net. Yeah, I don't know why it... I feel like there's something a little bit messed up where we are editing I'm super confused right now. I think there's some things about this workload that I really don't understand. Why could it possibly be saying too many open files? Like, X key score. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Root guy, Dragnet X key score. What's up, Korean Doctor Strange? How are you doing? The optimized joins told of in Legend. If only we were optimizing joins right now, that would be like a super cool thing to be doing. Unfortunately, all we're doing is we were trying to add support for user-defined schemas to this pretty cool testing tool that's called SQLSmith. But right now I'm just trying to understand what SQLSmith is doing at all, which is proving to be a bit interesting. But I think I'm learning stuff, so I think it's good, right? My first question is like, why do we keep running these queries over and over again at the beginning of the workload? Select is inverted from blah, 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 where? I feel like there's something a little bit funky about that. And so I want to check out where we're doing that from. Looks like we have, it's not quite right. So we have this saved in our logs, that's fine, but there's gotta be some spot. Let's add this file mask thing. So presumably like when SQLSmith starts up, it's got to do something like this, right? It's gotta run all these queries. This is seeming good. Okay, so extract indexes. So this is saying reload schemas. So when we start or when we change the schema, maybe we've got to get all the types of the data, get all the tables of the data, then get all the indexes of the data given the tables. And I feel like that's probably super inefficient because it's just going to be re-scanning all this metadata over and over again multiple times. I really don't understand why we would be doing that. Kind of feels like what we want to do is have this all happen in a single pass, right? What's up, Ola Seth? It's actually something called Goland. If you want to check that out. Kind of seems super inefficient. It kind of seems like we're getting into like n squared territory with all these metadata fetches. It also kind of seems like there might be like some bugs here, right? Because I mean, look what's happening. It's saying there's 2 lines in a row and they're doing the same thing, I think, unless there's a difference in this really long string. It's saying, give me information about the table indexes where the descriptor is equal to this and the index name is equal to this long thing. And this, I mean, it really seems to be the same on both lines. Which kind of says to me that there's a bug in the way that we're iterating over this stuff and it needs to be fixed. Okay, so Go, Go and Golang are kind of synonyms. Go is the name of the language. Golang, sometimes people call it that because Go, the word, is a little bit like ambiguous potentially. And Goland is something different. Goland is the IDE that is developed by these people for editing Go. Confusing, huh? So in this loop here, what's going on here? For rows dot next. Oh, you know what it is? We're just like recalling this stuff on every column. Whereas we actually only need to be doing it on every index, right? Like why are we doing that? Oh wait, is that what we're doing? I'm confused. So let's take an example here. So let's connect to our database. and we'll say show indexes from, and then we can use one of these example things because it got, I mean, it's what's kind of cool about SQLSmith, right, is it makes these really pretty gnarly looking tables. So check out what we got. We have one row per what exactly? Yeah, so, oh, you know what it is? You know what it is that, wait, that's so confusing. So when you run show indexes, it actually doesn't give you one row per indexes. One row per index, it gives you one row per column index pair. So if we have really, so that's just like, first of all, super confusing. Second of all, we shouldn't be using this inside of the code because this is sort of like a, we consider this like a quote unquote porcelain command, these show indexes things, because they could change. It's better to use sort of one of these internal tables because they don't change frequently. And the other problem here is that, like, I just don't understand why we have to do this in two passes. It kind of seems like we should be able to do this in a single pass. So we're gonna try to fix that now. So let's try to first figure out what kind of Mac do you use? I have a MacBook Pro. I think there's actually a blog post on my website where I talk a lot about my setup if you want to check that out. It's in the description of my channel. So what are we actually trying to get here? That's kind of my first question. So it's like, we're checking to see if we have an index description in some internal map. We're editing it. We're adding the current column, and then we're running this requery again to add whether it's inverted or not. I think all we really need here why don't we actually go ahead and check out to see if we can get all this information just by selecting on this table indexes thing. I feel like that might be an easier way to do things. So let's check out what we have in this table. It gives us one row. I see, it gives us one row per index, but it doesn't give us the columns in the index. So we do need to find a way to get the columns in the index, but I think we could do that via a join. Rather than having to do whatever we're doing right now. So let's see, what do we have in this CRDB internal schema? Table columns. So inside of table columns, you know what's kind of interesting about this table, though, is that it doesn't give us the columns in the index. And I don't think that this table gives us that either. We're sort of missing that, aren't we? And maybe that's why we had to do this in such a weird way. So here's a question. How is this show indexes thing implemented at all? Wait, this is not right. Show indexes, delegate show indexes. So this uses some other, hold on. Yeah, show indexes from, that's what we're using. So show indexes from gets a seek in index thing, right? This stuff sucks, man. It's so annoying. It's really quite a pain to get this stuff all right. So what does this table have? I just need to figure out how we get the actual set of columns that are sort of quote unquote in an index. That's sort of the critical thing. And where does seek in index come from? Seek in index. It comes from, oh my God, this is like the most hybrid crazy thing I've ever seen. It's like
The databank's
joining
too big.
PG
I have to narrow
indexes,
down the
which is like
search.
this
How are you gonna
Postgres
do that? By
metadata
guessing.
table that we sort of implement with information schema, which is a sort of SQL standard thing that we
Everybody knows that
implement.
relational
Yo, Korean Dr.
databases
Strange,
don't
thank you so
scale
much for that
because
Twitch
they use
Prime
joins,
subscription, my
joins,
friend. I really appreciate that.
joins, and write to disk.
Did everybody know that your Amazon Prime subscription comes with a free Twitch Prime subscription that you can change every month? Thank you. But this is like a hybrid crazy thing. And then we rejoin it back again with, yeah, I guess it's just those two tables, but it's still super sketchy. Out of curiosity, I mean, I think what we should really do is just lift all of this stuff into the query that we run inside of SQLSmith. Yeah, give me, exactly. Isn't Twitch Prime subscription so weird? It's sort of like you're using Jeff Bezos's money to pay Jeff Bezos and then also me, but like only a small fraction. It's sort of like a self-pay. It's very suspicious, very sus. Jeff Bezos is himself an imposter, is what I would have to say about that. Yeah. Ugh, this is so gross. All we want, okay, let's just write down a list of the things that we need to get, right? We need to get down the name of index, we need the name of table, we need what do we need inside of these columns? Is it just the name of the column? I think it is, right? Yeah, it's the column name of column. From Bezos coin to whatever currency Forbes rich list recognizes. Yeah, basically something like that. And then direction of column. And then we also need whether index is inverted. This is the full list of things that we need. So we really should be able to craft a query that gives us this in one pass. Wait a minute. What's also kind of crazy is that we could even do better, right? Like when we do extract tables, isn't this thing, like what is s.tables exactly? This is just AST nodes, right? Table ref, table name and columns. Oh, no, it's something else. Well, I think 2 passes is fine. But we definitely don't want n passes. So what we're doing essentially is we're saying for each table in our list of tables that we already have assembled, go back and get all the indexes from that table. But we just want to say, give us all the indexes in general, and then we can reassociate them together after the fact. That would be what I would like to do here. So why don't we, I want to get the like correct and best way of doing this, which I think involves one of these virtual tables. I think there's one called PG, or this PG attribute, right? So PG attribute is a table that gives us all of the columns in a table. But how do we get all the columns in an index? That's really the true question. There's got to be a way to do that. And are they storing columns? Man, this is so gross. So storing is retrieved by asking for the result of this information schema statistics thing. Is that what's going on? Storing? It is. Is that really the best way that we can do this though? Maybe it is. So like maybe what we do then is let's go here for an example. We can say select star from PG from information schema dot statistics limit 10. So what this gives us is a row per column index pair. And then we just need to join this with the index definitions to get their invertedness, which we don't have in this thing at all. Actually, wait a minute. So if I go select star from PG attribute, do these things give me their like index inclusion information or not really? Limit 1. It gives me a rel ID, which I think is just the table name, right? Table ID. So it's not really giving me an index ID, I don't think. Oh, I think this is what I want. So index, it gives me these arrays back, these ind keys. Or ind. Hold on. So this is probably like the most completely ununderstandable thing I've done. So ind key. Right. Stuff.storing. But you know what we don't do is we never look at this stuff, do we? So the question is yeah, we don't. Oh man. So we do in fact have to use these two different tables. That's like super pretty nasty. Super pretty nasty. Okay, so then in that case, let's go back to this statistics thing, and we need to figure out what the join key is between. And I guess they sort of figured that out in that other really heinous query, right? The join key here is index name is equal to rel name. Is that even right? Because can't you have duplicate oh, here we go. I was on the wrong one. Okay, so it's a join on the table name equals and the index name equals. Oof. Is that actually also wrong, by the way, in case we have user-defined schemas, speaking of which? So hold on, let's try something really fun for a second. Create database test. So we're gonna say create schema A, create schema B, create table A.A int, create table A.B int, or sorry, B.A int. And then we're gonna say create index blah on A.A of A. Then we're gonna say create index blah on A.B.A of A. And then we're gonna say show indexes from B.A. Is this gonna totally... No, that looks right. Does look right to me, doesn't it? Okay, well, never mind. Oh yeah, because we include the schema down here. Interesting. Oh, this is a different thing. So where the heck was the where was the file that we were even going to edit, right? It was called Reload schemas, right? Reload schemas. All right, so it's going to be index name, column name, storing, direction, is inverted from, and we're going to just basically clone this thing that we've been thinking about. So we're going to say information schema dot statistics join where do we get the inverted from? It's from CRDB internal.table indexes. But we don't need to do that, right? Wasn't the whole point is that we can say select star from PG index. Doesn't this have, it doesn't. One of these things is in fact going to tell you the type of the index, isn't it? Oh my God, this is truly disgusting. Truly disgusting, right? So this is our access method. Is it the case that there's some like link to something called access methods in this? Into AM or something? I don't see that. Rel AM. Oh, so does this link back to PG class? Where rel name. Okay, wait. Show tables. Select star from PG class. Where rel name is equal to A, number one. All right, so like this. Okay, so here is our index, and I think that it has something called a rel AM that points to the inverted index access method or something like that. Is that what's going on? And then I think I could say join PG AM on rel am is equal to PG AM.oid. And then I think I would get something potentially interesting, which is the word inverted in here. Is that the case? So if I said create table foo a JSON, and then I said create inverted index on foo of a, then I think if I did this and then selected this foo table, then I think I would get something that said inverted in here, right? Wait. Oh, I need to, hold on. Create inverted index derp. So if I search for derp, okay, then I get this AM name called inverted. Okay, that's truly, truly, truly horrible. Such a bad set of joins that you have to do to get that. But I think that is okay. So we're gonna, let's see, we're gonna join statistics with PG class. And we're gonna join it with what exactly? We're gonna need to say, what does this have again? Limit one. It's got table schema, table catalog, and table name. So those are the join conditions. We have to say table catalog equals something. Table schema is equal to, wait, does PG class even have this information at all? feel like it doesn't. You have to so disappoint. Deeply, deeply disappoint. So we really have to say, we have to join this also on PG namespace, join PG, or on PG namespace.oid is equal to rel namespace. So that's going to give me NSP name, which is the name of my schema. So then I can say where NSP name is equal to public. And then how do I get back to the database, right? That's another question. That's the schema, but how do I associate it with the database? That I don't even really know. Like, I think we probably do it. I guess we can scope it because we have wait. It's extract indexes. So for each of the things in tables, it's really just quite a bummer. Gotta say it's a bummer. Maybe we want to avoid having to go through the PG class stuff because it doesn't have the concept of a top level database the way that we do. Is that the issue? So like, what is P? This thing has just schemas. Oh, what is NSP owner, right? I think that's a user's thing. Okay. Each of these things has honestly, this is hurting my head. Like the other option that we could do here is just try to do it all in one giant query rather than having to, because I think the issue is really that like once we leave the context of these virtual tables, we've got to like go back in. And it's kind of confusing to do that. So I'm almost There's got to be a way to do this, right? Like, doesn't PG catalog have? We have to have some notion of the catalog, or like the database for each database desk. Like, where do we ever print out the name of this thing? should be like this get name, right? Do we ever use this inside of that file? Ah, okay. So we do it here, but then is there a way to link this back with the namespace? There doesn't seem to be, which really kind of stinks. How can that be the case? It's kind of like, and I guess what the other option is that, like, theoretically, okay, I mean, not to just like completely undo what we just did, but let's just grab this, stick it in a comment down here so we can always come back to this later. Like, the other idea is that we could literally just, we could literally just, in the same query as we fetch each of the index sets, we could also do the join that we're sort of attempting to do down here. So we could say from this thing, join crdb internal dot table indexes. Then we can say on descriptor name is equal to the table name, right? Yeah, the table name. And index name is equal to, well, so what is this show indexes give us again? Show indexes from because there's something called table name. Guess we have to alias this thing now. So we have to say and si, we could call this ti, and si dot index name is equal to ti dot index name. Okay, now we're maybe talking, right? Then we can actually do si dot table name is equal to ti dot descriptor name. Okay, so how about that? And then we can also get our is inverted. Would this work? And then down here, we have a new field, which is inverted. So it looks like there's also some sort of cross-version compatibility issue here, potentially, which is pretty irritating. What does it mean when we say like this? What is that? Is that like a shortcut for saying if something's null? Create table, test, a int. If I insert, wait, what? If I insert into test values 1 and then insert into test values null, if I say select star from test, what if I say select a equals null, a equals 3 from test? Oh wait, what? Oh, this is like, oh god. This is like a predicate, I see, not a default thing. So one thing I don't really get is like, this error handling here is sort of saying, this error handling here is saying that like, if the row parsing fails, then we do some other heuristic. But the problem is that if the column, I mean, it's claiming that the heuristic is about the column not existing in an older version. But if the column doesn't exist in an older version, like we're gonna get a problem here, right? Oh no, I see. In this form, it's like we kind of get the, I guess what we sort of want to do is like, it's kind of too bad that the error doesn't get returned from query. We sort of wish that it got returned here so we could distinguish whether the failure was during scan or during the actual query, right? So what if I just run query context? Then it's going to be like, it just kind of sucks. Just kind of sucks. Maybe we just don't even need this error handling anymore since we're not, we've like moved on in the world. So let's actually just try that. Let's just stick with our original idea. Keep the unconditional like searching for is inverted. We'll parse into this Boolean. And then if we do see the the Boolean, then we'll just say inverted is equal to inverted, like that. And then I think we can just get rid of this stuff altogether and see what happens. Okay, that took like a really long time, but you know, that's okay. Sometimes things are super confusing until you work through them, right? So let's see what happens now. Column reference index name is ambiguous. Okay, so I think the problem there is just that, yo, what's up, Erdite SKSN? How is it going? I think here we just need to say si.indexName. Don't think that should really matter too much. We're kind of working on, I mean, I guess the project is sort of updatable at this point. It's sort of like commands, edit, project.
Computers hooked into over 1,000 data banks throughout the world.
Improving SQLSmith to understand user-defined schemas. All right, so I guess what happened here, I think this is a pretty good result. Like it used to be that we were seeing a ton of these index refreshes. I guess we still see a lot of them, but it's just a little bit faster. The point was that we were just kind of doing some level of extra metadata queries. We're still doing them though, like quite a lot. I think it's just about half. So we've halved the number of extra metadata queries we're doing, which is like, all right, we made some progress. It's still pretty gross. Like did we just like completely drop the predicate too though? Oh no, the predicate is here in the from. Show indexes from SQLSmith.public. Whatever. Yeah, okay. So we now make one of these per table, which I think is oh, you know what we used to do? We used to make, yeah, it was definitely some n-squared stuff. It was like for every table we make a new query, and then for every index in that table we make a new query. So it was sort of like, yeah, we do this tree traversal that was just unnecessary. So I think this is an improvement. We can get rid of this. I'm happy with this. Then the next question is kind of like, why are we getting all of these backup things? Like, is this just running arbitrary backup statements or something? And that's like kind of failing? Is that what's going on here? It totally is. That's super funny. Wait, is this normal? Is it supposed to be running backups? I don't know. Kind of funny. So this sort of seems like the SQLSmith program generates random backup requests and then uses itself as a server. Is that right? Is that what's going on here? Is there a facility for that? There does appear to be one, right? It enables bulk IO statements. Wow. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Kind of seems a little bit broken, but it's a cool idea. All right. So I think the next step. Oh yeah, the go chi thing. Is that working for you, Denny? I remember we were talking about that last time. Nice. Serialization is super nice. That's cool. So I feel like what we want to do next is like when we do our create table statements, where does that live? Where does like the DDL stuff live in here? Setup maybe?
The data bank's too big.
Create table.
I have to narrow down the search.
Yo,
How are you gonna
Roni,
do that?
thank you for the
By
follow.
guessing. The data bank's too big.
And T
I have
Badger,
to narrow
thank
down
you
the
for the follow.
search. How are you gonna do that? By guessing.
Just got to figure out where we generate these new table statements, right? Create schema table with index hint. Get rand table. But where do we create the random tables? What am I missing? Alter, is it this? Ah, make create table, make drop table. Okay. So we need to have like make create schema, stuff like that, right? Alters existing table. I feel like we want to have a, let's make these up. So make create schema, rand create table. Kind of means, feels like we need a rand create schema too, right? Let's make one of these. Rand create schema. What is the prefix? What is that? prefix. Oh, is it just the name? Okay, so we can make a name for this one too. So we'll take a. Now what is the table IDX? What's that for? Oh, I guess that's got to just be the number of the table that we're doing or something like that, right? So do we run this from SQLSmith? Yeah, okay, so we're just making n tables. So I guess for this, we kind of just want to say, and it should be straightforward. We're just going to build an AST node of this schema. So we'll say like return, this is going to return a create schema, right? So we'll return create schema. And what's inside of this exactly? It's got an if not exists, an auth role, and a schema, which is an object name prefix. So I guess we really just want to return the schema, which will be an object name. Is there a constructor for that we're supposed to be using? I'm guessing yes. Make unqualified table name. Who populates this normally? So we just say tree.name, and then we put in, I guess, how does it work? Is it just like adding the prefix and the number together? Yeah, it's like prefix and then the table IDX. Okay, so we'll say format.sprintf sd prefix table IDX, right? Okay. Tree dot make qualified table name. Wait a minute. I thought that we just figured out that this is the way that other people are setting this, right? Oh yeah, no, we need to wrap it in an object name prefix, of course. So tree.object name prefix, and then this thing inside is going to have a schema name, and then that's going to be set to our tree.name that we just constructed. And then we'll say explicit schema is equal to true, I guess. I guess this needs another. What's going on? Why is this not? Oh, there's no reason for it. This file's just really big or something like that. Okay, so that's really super simple. And then when we actually go to call it, we're gonna say ran create schema. The prefix will be nothing, I guess. Table IDX will be nothing. I guess this is gonna be schema IDX, right? Schema IDX. This is gonna say create schema. What do we need this RNG for? I guess in this case we don't even need it, right? It's kind of cool. I'll leave it as a parameter just so it sort of fits, but we'll just give it an underscore name so it doesn't, whoops, not that one. We'll give it an underscore name so that it doesn't, so it still compiles. I guess we just return this thing comma true. So very simple, very simple. I feel like there's maybe something that I'm missing with this, right? Because like, how could it possibly How could it possibly not like append some sort of random name? It doesn't seem to. It does stand for RNG. The reason it's needed is like most of these things, I'm adding this sort of really new simple randomizer, which is making a user-defined schema. But there's no randomization that needs to be done. So I'm passing it in because all the other similar statements use the RNG. So I just want to keep the API consistent. But in this case, you're right that we don't really need it. I guess I don't understand though, like why. Oh, I see what we're doing. So this is the thing that actually updates the name. So when you call this, it says name counts of prefix plus plus. I see. So we sort of like use this just to make a table for the randomization that we've defined somewhere else, but then we actually set the name of it using our internal SQLSmith method. I guess what we'll sort of need here is like a schema map, right? So we can know what I really don't understand though is like where do we actually update our table depths? Oh, you know what it probably is? It's probably that every time that we run one of these things, we end up just reloading the schema. Yeah. So it's sort of like we don't need to update our own internal state because we're just going to reload it from the database entirely. That is interesting. That is very interesting. So I think what that means is that we need to get, I guess we can reuse this name thing. Oh, I see. So this name thing actually has a nice prefix world, right? So it's like we can define our own namespace. So these are schemas, so we can make a schema sort of namespace. So we'll basically just do exactly the same thing. It's not even clear to me that we need this. You know, I think I'm actually just going to get rid of this. We'll just define it in line. So we're going to say schema def is equal to, and then we'll grab this thing. Because there isn't, you're totally right, JJM. There was no necessary randomization here at all. So there was no point to doing that. I was just a little bit confused about what was going on. And then our schema name will just set explicitly to tree.name of s.name of schema, something like this. And I guess this is returning a tree.name already, so we don't even need to wrap it. And then we can return schema def true, or we can actually, well, okay, so then what we do is I guess we get to add this thing to our alters table existence set of statements, and we can give it a weight of, I completely understand what we're doing here. Make schema, create schema. Okay, so I think then the next thing that we need to probably do is we've got to randomly, I think when we load our schemas, reload schema, when we do this reload schemas thing, I think we've got to actually pull in all of the user defined schema names so that we can know what schemas that we could possibly be using, right? So back to our console here. This does, I see. So the reason that we constrained it to public there wasn't actually just so we could only get public. It was actually so that we could avoid getting the internal stuff, I think. Table schema, right? Yeah, so it's just to avoid all of this crap, which we don't care about. So I think what we probably want to do here is just hard code these to avoid them all, maybe. Unless there's a way that we can see whether or not things are internal from a column, that would be helpful, but I feel like there is no such way. Whoops, limit 1. Definitely doesn't feel like there is a way to do this. So I'll just change this. I'll just hard code it, whatever. So not in, then we're gonna give a list. So we're gonna say CRDB internal, PG catalog, PG extension, wait, what else were there? It's just those 4. So CRDB internal, information schema, PG catalog, and PG extension. Wait. Oh, information schema. Information schema. Okay, so then so then as we are getting oh, you know what's kind of interesting though is that we already do get this information. We're sort of pulling the schema information into the full name of the table. So I actually don't think we need to do anything different with the loading. I think what we, the only thing, oh, you know, no. We actually do, because it's for create tables. For create tables, we do need to know what potential schemas there are so we can add new tables into the user-defined schemas. It's like once they're already in there, I think we're retrieving the fully qualified names, but it's like for creation, we do need to know the extra information. So I guess for that, we might as well just make another top level one of these things. I don't love it because it keeps adding to the number of metadata queries that we're doing, but I think it's probably fine. Extract tables. So let's make one up here. So we'll say func smither extract schemas. This is going to return. I guess we should make a new thing here, right? Type info. Type schema ref struct. I think it's really just like a name, right? So it's going to be a tree.name. It's going to be a slice of schema refs and an error. And to do this, we're just going to run select. Maybe we can do pg catalog dot pg namespace for this one, right? So we'll say select nsp name from pg catalog dot pg namespace where nsp owner is not null. Well, well, let's just say where, we'll just use the same list where NSP name not in, NSP name not in. Bring this down. I can copy this. So if error is not equal to nil, return nil error. Otherwise we do this whole thing, right? For rows.next, var schema, tree.name. We scan. If error is equal to rows.scan of schema and the error is not equal to nil, then we leave. And then we get to say, we'll have to make a ret, make schema ref. Don't know why this is a pointer, it seems unnecessary. So we'll say ret is equal to append ret schema ref of schema name is equal to this. Then we return ret nil. Okay, so now we've got the schemas, right? Get rid of this assignment. I guess here we can just say var ret schema ref. Okay. So this should say extract, not extra. And we can now make a new member called s.schemas is equal to extract schemas. Define this, put it up next to our tables. And then when we go to make tables, so create table, this is where we get to say s dot, so schema, it'll be called like schema ord is equal to s dot rnd dot int n. What does this do again? It's 0 of n non-inclusive. So we'll say len of s dot schemas. So this is going to give us a random ordinal into the schemas array. Then our schema will be s.schemas of schema ord. And then we get to say table dot schema name is equal to schema dot schema name. And then table dot explicit schema is equal to true. Whew! Okay, I think we did it. We'll see how this goes. Let's recompile our workload and see what's up. Hopefully we'll see some create schema messages getting emitted, but we'll see. Okay, so we're gonna run our workload and see what blows up. So nothing blows up, which is cool. Let's now see show databases. So, whoa, is this normal? Why don't we actually just delete everything? So rmrf cockroach data, just start over from scratch so we have a clean working slate. Okay, so we'll init this. Whoops. Okay, so now that that's done, let's see what we've got. We've got a bunch of databases, which is a little bit unexpected. What about use SQLSmith, show schemas? Yay, okay, so we do have some extra schemas. Show tables from public. We have a table. And do we have any tables inside of schema 1? We do not. Is that show databases? I wonder if that's just random though. I guess we can say select star from PG namespace. Kind of seems like this didn't quite work yet, right? Because our create table statements should all have a schema prefix, and that did not in fact happen. Okay, so let's try to figure out why that's the case. Make create table.
Databanks.
Hey, Nietzsche, thanks for the follow. I feel like this should be working okay, right? This thing is our table definition, and we're adding a schema name to it.
How are you gonna do that?
We got the schema name. Even if this was empty, well, if this was empty, it would panic. So like that can't be the case. Oh, you know what it might be? You know what it might be? Is there, do we need to have, hey, Alfred, thanks for the follow. I don't understand, like it made all of these random databases, right? Whoops. This DB1 stuff, DB3, create database. Did I clear this? Hold on. Let's start from scratch again. So we'll RMRF our data. We'll start the server. We'll clear our screen. We'll go over here. We'll init. Okay, so first of all, does this now have a bunch of data? It does not. Okay, so presumably running this stuff does in fact make a bunch of databases, right? So let's kill it. Do we have something called create database? We do. But then do we ever use these databases, or do we just create them? It seems like we just create them, right? All right. So ignoring the fact that that seems to be sort of pointless and or like not completely implemented, maybe the issue is actually that when we use this, I think there's some little detail about this stuff. I think it's sort of like, if you only have one, you know what I think we need to do? I think we need to say table explicit catalog is equal to true. And then we need to say, we need to set the catalog name. I basically think that like you can't only have a schema name set and not a catalog name. So it's like either just this one or both, and just having just this one just doesn't do anything. So for now, let's just set our explicit catalog, and we can set it to, I guess we don't have that information populated. At some point, like we've hard coded the database name, I'm pretty sure, to be SQLSmith like this. See, this is, I don't get this. Where do we set this field? I think. New Smither. init SQL. Isn't it the case that when we make a connection, we have to specify the name of the database? Oh, this is a different program. This is the comp thing. We just need the regular one, which should be in the workload, right? It's got to be in the SQLSmith workload. Where is the DB override? It's got to be this thing, right? So query load. Query load, QL. What the heck? This is so confusing. I think that, I guess, basically what I should do is forget this and just set these things to be the catalog name. And it's a little bit confusing, but like maybe it'll move us forward. Technically, we should be setting the schema name and explicit schema. But at this point, we currently don't really know the name of the database that we're connected to, so we can't. Okay, whatever. That's like probably fine. So let's keep that. We'll recompile our workload and try again. All right, what will happen now? Insert into SQLSmith.public.table.o. Still doesn't seem to be doing the trick, unfortunately, right? Let's just make sure. We'll delete this stuff. Oh, you know what it could be? You know what it could be is we never actually flip. I bet we're just not actually even getting a random create statement, and that we're just stuck on these initial ones. And I bet these initial ones, yeah, I bet we're just not getting to that. And these initial ones probably don't have the logic that I just added, perhaps. Maybe use SQLSmith, show tables. Just has this one, right? Show schemas. Show tables from schema one. See, when it's kind of random, right? It's like, why? Maybe we just need to be more patient. Maybe we just need to be more patient. Let's start this again. Try to have patience. It's hard to be patient because this stuff seems it's kind of broken. This random backup stuff. I feel like it's not working. You know what's kind of confusing also is like, oh, I see. It's funny, we have all these table names, but they're actually just getting alias from table 0. Sort of weird. How could it be that we're just never flipping a create table? We get create schema, but it's never create table. And we've marked create table as more likely, right? Wait, 10. So what's the deal? I feel like I would like to turn off these random backups. It doesn't really seem like they're working. So we did roll some create tables, but they still didn't include the schema name. It's kind of weird. What am I getting wrong? What am I getting wrong? Don't really get it. Don't really get it. Don't really get it. We could print out more stuff, I guess. So in our alter, this would be like format.println creating table. Guess we want table.table. How many total lines do I think I've written for CockroachDB so far? You can look on GitHub and find out the answer to that question. But I think it's sort of a lie. Okay, what the heck? Buy this man a coffee? Make statement. Bulk IO 91. Dude, what is... Should we Boars this thing? This is what we did earlier in the stream. Seems like it's approved. We've got this bot. If I run this, it's gonna merge. So exciting. Seems legit, right? We got a review. We fixed the tests. That's like an end-to-end completed project on stream. It's like pretty cool, I think. Okay, so let's try this again then. Okay, so now things are moving a little bit quicker, I would say. Right? They look like they're moving quite fast. So let's look for create table again. How come I don't get that? Why oh yeah, you see, so it says creating table, tab blah, schema 1, true false. So why doesn't that work? What's the problem here? What the heck? Make unqualified table name. Should we just, maybe the issue is that like, maybe we ought to just be using this make table name with schema thing. I think the truth is that we've got to figure out a way to thread in the database name. I think that's just the truth. It's kind of sad, but I honestly just think it's true. So this thing really ought to have the catalog name, SCADA. It's gotta. New Smither, right? Thing is, this just gets used so many places. You know, it's sort of sad. I don't actually really understand how all of this like registration stuff works exactly. URLs, like where exactly do we like, is there an option down here? If I run this here, is there, what are the options? Can I set the database name? DB, right? Ah, override for the SQL database to use if empty defaults to the generator name. Okay, so I think, yeah, DB override, right? The database name is returned. Okay, so actually, okay. Con flags, huh? Okay, new Smither. I kind of just feel like, this is so annoying, man. Like, I just feel like the reason that I'm struggling here is, look, I could pass in a string here that's called like the database name, but I just wonder if that's going to kind of corrupt the fundamental meaning of SQLSmith in a way. Like, SQLSmith is sort of designed not to be scoped to a database, but the thing is that in reality, it is in fact scoped to a database. And so I don't know whether I should force it really explicit to be scoped to a database or completely unscope it and allow it to touch any database in the system. I feel like the answer is that we should pass in an explicit one, and we should just make that change. So I'm just going to try that out. And if it's horrible, then it's horrible. So we'll say db name is equal to db name to add this as a parameter. Put it up here. And we've just got to fix all of these spots, right? Here it's going to be the This is in a roach test. So what would it be here, right? So where do we get our connection from? I just feel like it's kind of confusing. Like, it's not entirely clear. Like somewhere in here we get the name of the database, somewhere. It's just like, yeah, it's like, depends on the argument to the program. So maybe it feels wrong then. Oh, you know what we can do is we can find the current database. Hold on. Oh, this is gonna be huge. So let's like undo this. Let's undo this. We can actually just get it, right? We can say, can we just say show database? Show database. Does it work in Postgres? This is gonna change everything. Show database. I don't think this works in Postgres, but anyway, that's fine. We can, I think this is actually a game changer. Absolute game changer. Inside of reload schemas, we can say, yeah, we don't even need to do it inside of, it's just like a single top level thing. It's like when we run the smither, we can just say db is equal to, well, it's sort of like s.db dot query row show database. Is there a way to do that in Postgres? Because I think that this thing is supposed to support Postgres show current database. How do I do that? Current database, huh? Does that work in both C-SQL select current database? Does that work here too? Oh, amazing. Okay, this is gonna be great. So we're gonna say select current database, like so. This is gonna return me a row. And so the db is equal to row.scan, and then we'll pass in s.db name, right? So s.db name. I have heard of that, yeah. If error is not equal to nil, we can return nil error. Wait a minute, does this return? This just returns an error. Like so. Okay, cool. So then when it comes to actually generating these create table defs, which is the whole point of all of this, alter table. Wait. Then we can say table.table is equal to tree.make table name with schema. Then we get to say s.db name. Then we get to say schema name. This has to be tree.name of. Okay, right? Won't this fix it? Won't this fix it? Let's try it again. This has got to fix it. All right, moment of truth. See how it goes this time. Wait, what? we stopped. We're still printing out create table whenever we create a table. I guess it's just like pretty unlikely that we're going to actually create a table in SQLSmith. Just like a very low probability that that's the event that's going to get generated. Is that why that's happening?
Databanks.
I honestly don't get something about this. It sort of feels like there's maybe two ways to end up creating a table in this. Oh, but it's totally working now. It's all good. Check it out. Create table. Wait, what? SQLSmith.public.tab 19447. Schema 3. So I feel like it's like kind of working. What I don't get is like whether there's another way to actually get the it kind of feels like there's two potential spots where we make a random table creation statement. That might be what's going on here. Anyway, I don't think it matters. The point is that I think that these statements should probably contain kind of seems like we're creating tables with these special schemas, but maybe not using them at this point. Is that what's going on? But I think it's progress. Definitely some progress. Refresh tables. Wait. Extract tables. I mean, this does in fact seem to oh, I see the thing. Okay, so it's if last schema is not equal to public, then leave. That's the issue. So we've just got to get rid of that. And I think we can totally safely do that at this point. So let's try that again. So we'll recompile. And I think the problem now is that we had the new tables, but we weren't using them. We were ignoring any table that was in a non-public schema. Even though we made them, we just weren't using them. So I think hopefully this will now do something better. All right, so whoops, let's actually go ahead and run our workload again. See what is up this time. Database SQLSmith does not exist, need to init it, run it again. Okay, so why don't we, this time, use SQLSmith. So we've got a new schema, show tables, we've got tables in different schemas. So that's actually very cool. I know, all right. The whole point though is that we wanted to make sure that we were actually selecting from those things. And it seems like we are. Update SQLSmith.schema1 tab 9169. Okay. I feel like we did it. we added schemas to SQLSmith. Go team. Totally crushing it. Okay, so let's actually just make up a little commit here. And I think after this, we're gonna call it. So let's just make a little commit here and set it up, send it out into the ether. So I think we can probably get rid of this statement timeout thing. I don't think I need that on this same branch. So let's check out master again. We're gonna check out SQLSmith schemas. Let's add some files here. So we're gonna add make create schema, yes. We don't need this format.println thing. So I think that means I've already screwed up. Let me let's just start over. Get CO1. Get reset one rather. Okay, so we'll say get add dash P. So we don't want this new format. We do want make create schema. We do want this. Did I do something dumb? Did I do something dumb? Seems like I did not do anything dumb. I think it's fine. Okay, whatever. So we're not gonna stage this. We don't want that. We do want to extract schemas. We do want to do all this stuff. We do want this. 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 We don't want to comment out enable bulk IO. So we'll get rid of this altogether. I think like that. And then here I think we can probably skip adding any of this stuff. It just doesn't seem that important. So we'll delete all this stuff. Okay, so then we'll say, what's left? Enable bulk IO. Okay, so this is looking good. So we're gonna commit here. We'll say SQLSmith add schema related operations. User defined schemas are now supported in SQLSmith. UDSs will be randomly generated and tables will be randomly included in the available UDSs. And new tables will be randomly, yeah. Queries will select from any table, including those inside of UDSs as well. Release note none. Okay, let's push this guy up. Let's add this team. Oh yeah, and we get to actually include a, pretty sure that there was an issue that we were looking at, right? We were gonna close an issue here. User defined. I think it's this guy, right? So 54,961. Closes this issue. Okay. Streaming on Sunday. Yeah, I keep doing this thing where I claim to be streaming on Sunday and then I don't actually do it. So I want to be streaming on Sunday, and maybe I will actually try to this time. Last couple of weekends I didn't make it happen. I think JJM, do you follow me on Twitter? I will tweet. I will tweet if I stream. Yeah, I use them Space Cadets. Yeah, but I want to, that's the thing. I actually want to be streaming because it's super fun. Shikata, thank you for that compliment. I do like these Space Cadet keycaps. They're pretty dope, don't you think? They just look so good. Cool. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It's been a pretty fun stream. I thought we got some stuff done. We did some good things. We did user-defined schema stuff, fixed a little bug, added some stuff to testing. Not so bad. Not so bad. Moving from an issue to the issue queue to understanding something else. Hashtag winning. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think what we're going to do now is find somebody to raid. We haven't done that in a little while. But I want to raid another science and technology person so we can just show the support, you know, keep up the community and whatnot. So let me go find somebody good to raid. Who is streaming? Who is on? I think that it's pretty clear what to do here. It's pretty clear what to do here. And I think that it's gonna be, this seems like, this guy's pretty cool. He's an interesting person doing a lot of interesting stuff. You still look at Last Miles. Last Miles is super funny. I really like him. So we're gonna raid this guy. He does a lot of interesting things. I think right now he is actually doing some Golang stuff, which is neat. He does often lots of different languages though. Whoops, I think I must have misspelled it. Hold on. Okay, so Zorkin Himmer, I don't know. Anyway, so right now he's doing some kind of project with Go, with assembly at the same time. It should be super cool. I'm pretty excited, but say hello from me and check me out Sunday if I stream. I think I probably will. Follow me on Twitter if you don't. Follow me on Twitch if you don't. And you guys have a fantastic weekend. All right, goodbye.